Our guest today on Heal the Divide, where we espouse vision, not division, is my dear friend and colleague, Jason Stuart. Among his many talents, Jason is a celebrated actor, comedian, producer, and lecturer who also founded the LGBTQ committee for SAG-AFTRA, of which I am a national co-chair. And I highly recommend his award-winning series with Mitch Hara, Smothered, where Jason won Best Actor in a Comedy Series for the Indie Series Awards. Check it out. It's hilarious, touching, and downright outrageous at times. Believe me, it'll have you binging. Well, as promised, I have my dear friend and colleague, Jason Stuart. Hey, Jason.
Hey, sweetie, thanks for having me on your show.
I am so delighted to have you on the show. So I am wondering, of all the many things you do so well, what are you doing lately to heal the divide, and what are your thoughts on the state of the union?
It's so anxiety ridden, and I feel like it's sort of this looming kind of thing that is sort of hovering over us for the last what is it, 4 years?
I would say more than that.
Really
Yeah.
8 years. The minute that man Trump came down that escalator with his wife 10 feet behind him, which already tells you something.
Right.
And it's been this uncomfortableness in the country, in the way people are. And if you just take away, this is what I always say, is if you just take away his personality, okay, he's got a terrible, negative personality, and just talk about the things that he's done, and who he is. He was a TV show host on a reality show, and then he's franchised his name, and then he stole a lot of money from a lot of people and didn't pay people. And then there's, all these court cases way before the ones that just happened recently. I mean, all sorts of things where he didn't pay workers money, didn't pay people that worked for him, people that helped him, cheating on his wife, cheating on other people.
Well, I
just
think
really,
I feel
really,
like he thrives on division, and unfortunately, so do his group of followers. I think I told you about our interview with Rich Logis, who's an ex-MAGA supporter.
Right, I saw
And
that.
yeah, it was interesting because my feelings. One of the reasons why Leslie and I started this was in order to try to, especially me, curb those feelings that I have for certain groups of people. I mean, you and I both were in New York since the 80s and before. And one of the things I said to Rich was all of us in New York who knew him knew he was a, carnival grifter, the guy who cheated people out.
Oh, the New Yorkers are starting to talk about that now quite a bit in the press. That
Right.
New Yorkers have never been on his side. He was never invited into New York society, and that really made him angry.
Yeah.
Some of the Hollywood people let him in, certainly, as a goof and as a way to go to some big party that was lavish with gold toilet seats and gold silverware and all this sort of over-the-top nouveau riche kind of gluttony of sorts.
The thing about it is, if you will, Trumpism, even if Trump goes away, the man goes away, the Trumpism train of thought still will exist. So our mission here is to see how we might be able to, including discussions as with Rich Logis, including discussions with people like you who are leaders in the community on so many levels with regard to diversity, LGBTQ rights, and beyond, how we can begin to try to, in some form or fashion, mend those fences. I mean, you and I discussed.
That's a hard one. Just
is.
On that subject alone, I have family members who have jumped on this bandwagon, who have repeated QAnon information that's been put over the internet, who have, one family member, I won't say her name, had never been political, and all of a sudden she's going on the internet, and I would say to her, and she'd send me things and say, oh, trunk. Yeah, he should be in a trunk. Trump.
Freudian slip there, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Trump likes gay people, and here are videos of gay people who like him. And I said, well, I don't care. That doesn't mean, that I want to still be a part of him because other gay people like him. To me, what he's doing and what he's done is not just him. It started before him. He just made it famous. commonplace.
Absolutely. He made it okay is what he did. He made it okay to say it out loud and to encourage that kind of
I'll
as I
grab
said,
women by the privates. I could walk down
right.
the street and, you know, I could shoot someone and they wouldn't arrest me. And now in the
Right.
court, they're letting him do this. And that's what
I
something
don't know that they're letting him do this. I think it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I do believe
I
that,
agree. I agree. We have to cross all our T's and I's or whatever the expression is.
or cross the I's and dot the T's. I don't care how we do it. We're going to do it.
But I think we're going a little too far, because if you or I were in court,
Mhm.
this would never, ever be allowed.
Oh, no,
So
absolutely not.
he was
Yeah.
an ex-president. I understand that they want to give him some sort of respect in that way, but respect is earned. And what he did in the E.G. Jean trial and the way he behaved was just, horrific.
Atrocious. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
really,
Yeah.
really, it's so completely inappropriate. And if I did that in a courtroom, I'd be asked out. So I think that there has to be some sort of
Well,
payback.
I think Engeron in this one of the many cases has been really diligent about reining him in. However, I hate that we even have to say rein him in as if he were a belligerent 4-year-old, which is pretty
You're
much
saying
how,
exactly what I'm disagreeing with the courts, is they're allowing him to behave in this way, whereas you or I would not be able to behave in that way in a courtroom. You just would not be able to, not even for a traffic ticket. I remember me when I was a kid going in and trying to be funny, trying to fight a ticket in Los Angeles where I lived. And, they wouldn't allow it. They would just, this is not what did they say to me? This is not a comedy club. You're
I was
not
going
on
to
a,
say, were you trying out your new comedy routine as a kid?
no, I was trying to be funny so I could get out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I figured if they
Well,
liked it, I'd get out of it.
yeah. I mean, you and I spoke yesterday regarding, for example, union busting. We just got out of a 118-day strike with SAG-AFTRA, of which both of us are members and national chairs of
The
SAG-AFTRA
LGBT,
LGBTQ.
but and also the Writers Guild before that. So we were in a strike almost the entire
Right.
2023.
Right. So, and then there's we talked a bit about, I found it interesting what you said to me earlier regarding, I had sent you that John Oliver video regarding transgendered people and younger people in particular. And you said something about the statistics, and it's the demagoguery
The amount of transgender people that are in this country, I think is 1% or less. This is the group that has the least rights, that has the least support,
earning power.
and earning power, everything. They're at the bottom of the list in terms of being treated equally as an American. These are people who have had incredible decisions to make. And, when we were kids, there would be a feminine guy or there would be a dykey woman, and that would be what they would be called. Now they changed the language. They changed the words. And the younger kids want to be called queer. When I was a kid, that was really a negative thing. Now it's something that they've taken back. I mean, it's just like the movie I did, The Birth of a Nation. I thought, God, we're not going to remake that movie, are we? And he says, no, it's just they're taking that title back. So people are taking queer back. They're taking all that back. And these people, are humans who need to be able to make their own choices. And they keep talking about how parents are letting children do whatever they do. And I think that's not true. I think we know a very close friend within SAG that has a transgender daughter. And I won't say who, but at 2 years old, I remember him calling me saying, my son wants to cut off his penis.
Right.
What do you do? And this kid, and then the minute they let the son who became a daughter wear her dress, she was happy. When she was
right. Well, one of the things John Oliver talked about, first of all, one is not allowed to have any kind of gender repositioning surgically until I don't know what the age is, but it's certainly not.
It's 18.
Right. Not to mention the fact that and one of the things he also said, which was what you just said with regard to if the girl wants to cut her hair off and make her feel different, then great. If she wants to wear a plaid shirt or a blue shirt or a whatever shirt, and not to mention
I don't mean to interrupt you, but people don't even know the information, because beta blockers. I have another friend who has a transgender son, and he's been taking beta blockers since he was, I think, 15 or 16. and with his mother's permission. But that can be reversed. That's not
Not
something
not to mention the fact that it's a long process. It's also a very
oh,
expensive process. And as you said before, and I don't even know if it's 1%, it may be 0.9% or something like that, Jason.
anybody knows
Point
for
is,
sure they should
it
write in.
doesn't matter what the percentage is. It is the group or groups of people who insist upon scaring the living daylights out of those who are not like them.
Could you
And
imagine? Could you
that's a
imagine
problem.
if we did this to people who were killing people in public venues all over the country for the last 10 years, which is the numbers have just gone so high on Politici fact. I think, I mean, and I'm rounding it off, I think it was 42,000 white men kill people,
Mhm.
and maybe 4,000 women. So since it's that many, maybe we should just not let white men have guns, because maybe we should make a law for that, because there's just so many. Could you imagine if we did that?
Right. Yeah.
As
Well,
people are doing
if the
this,
shoe were on the other foot, I would imagine
exactly.
they'd be trying to do that in a heartbeat. Good point, my friend.
And I
Very
have
good point.
never, ever heard of a transgender person
No,
molesting a child. And
no.
maybe there's one person or two in the whole country that did it, but not compared to how many white people, white men, straight men go into schools and movie theaters and nightclubs and concerts and kill people. So
So how do we go about? So you're right. It's
and
unfortunately
even Katie
yes,
Porter said it. Katie
right.
Porter
Yeah.
was talking about the idea that if some toy or that elliptical machine, what's the kind of one that was
Elliptical.
the,
Hmm.
the one that the real expensive one, people kept getting hurt on it. Well, they got rid of it and they're redoing it, and
They're
they took it away, but they wouldn't take a gun that killed all these people
no.
away.
Well, the NRA has way too much power over certainly the.
I don't even know if it's the NRA anymore, because I heard they were going bankrupt. But
Well,
I
I
don't
don't
know if it's
know.
them. I
They
think it's
haven't called me lately, nor
yeah.
will they ever.
I don't know for sure, but I
I'm just
know
trying to figure, thinking out of the box how to. I mean, you and I know the problems with that. We know about union busting because they tried to bust ours. Um,
and they're
and
still
yeah, and they still are. You're absolutely right. And then, of course, they're taking and have taken critical race theory out of schools. God forbid we should know um, the true trajectory and history of this nation. We wouldn't want our young people, certainly not our young white people, to know of the history of this country.
they're
In
taking away
order in order to heal the divide,
yeah,
frankly.
they're taking away the Holocaust. They're taking away
Yeah.
anything. I mean, I remember when I got cast in Birth of a Nation, which is the story of Nat Turner. I had no idea who he was,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to school in California. Had no idea who he was, and I looked it up. I went, "Oh my God, this is the first Black man who fought against the white plantation owners."
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
In the film, I did all this research saying, God, this guy, was an incredible. Was he a prophet? Was he a martyr? Was he someone who was um, uh,
Both.
who had gone mentally insane because of what had been done to him as a slave, or was he just the bravest guy ever lived, or was he all of that? And then people wrote about the film and they said, "Oh my God, this isn't correct," and stuff. And and there was only one book written about him, which was written as told to when Nat Turner was in prison. It was told to a white man who wrote the book about him through his point of view of what he had heard. So that's all we had known, and the rest of the story was just historical fact that people had found, telling the story in the best way possible. So you don't know anything 100% in history, but that story was so important, I thought. Medgar Evans,
Yeah.
people start knowing about him until more recently.
Well, I hope that book, the singular book, if that's all there is not one of those banned from schools, especially in Florida, which I'm sure that they will be. And that's as somebody who's a parent, and I'm sure you know children and love them. It's terrifying to me, Jason.
It is to me as a Jew. My father was a Holocaust
Sure.
survivor,
Hmm.
not the camps, but the ghettos, and ran from the Nazis for most of his
Yeah.
childhood.
Tell him the Holocaust did not happen.
Right. Well, he's passed, so it'd be hard to
Right.
talk.
No. Yeah. Well, you can always
But
talk to him. Hey, Dad.
yes, exactly.
You
But
know.
it's frightening, and so many people didn't really understand the Holocaust. I went to see Ava DuVernay's film Origin, based on the Pulitzer Prize winning novel Cast by Isabel Wilkinson, and it completely opened up my mind,
Mhm.
this film, to a new way of thinking. The idea of us being racist and in our society, homophobic, xenophobic, all the
Anti-Semitic, yeah,
all the
yeah.
things, and the idea that there was this one scene in the film is like Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, in the same way the book was written, that her character is the lead, her herself is the lead in the film, and she goes through these terrible deaths in her family, and how she goes on to write her next book about what's happening, and she goes to Germany, she goes to India, she sees how all this prejudice and phobias have happened in
Mhm.
life, and she learns uh, things that just sort of blew my mind.
You know, I don't
Because
know.
let me tell you about this photograph. So there's this photograph about Germans discussing the Holocaust and how to move forward with it, how to get rid of the Jews and what they did. And then it's cut intertwined with the dinner party that she's at with the German woman today, saying the German one saying out loud, she's saying that the Holocaust was way worse than slavery. And she said, no, it's not way worse. And she says it isn't the same thing. And then they cut to the historical information about what was said in that picture and what that meeting was about. And that meeting was about, the Germans took the template for what the Americans had done for slavery in our country.
Mhm. Yep.
And when I saw that, it
Yeah.
completely, I mean, I went through, that's how my whole family was killed, the history of who I am and where I come from. And I watched that, and I realized, yeah, the Holocaust and slavery was exactly the same, except the Holocaust was a shorter amount of time, and the slavery was 250 years. Is it worse? There is no worse or better.
That's
It's
correct.
there's length of time. Are Jews still being prosecuted and killed on the street? Yes. Are
Every
black
day.
and
Every
blacks
day.
people, are they still
And it's
being?
getting worse. It's
Yes.
getting worse, not better. When we were in our 30s, it was it's crazy to think about. It's
Oh, that's what,
devastating to think about.
I mean, we don't know the
And
numbers.
the point is, I mean, you and I can talk about this all day, but what can we do to try to figure out how to
I have a
come?
big answer for that. And
Okay,
I'm very, very,
I'm all ears.
I'm very, very, it means a lot to me. So in our lives as humans, if somebody says something about somebody, a black person, an Asian person, a Latino, American Indian, anybody in your life, if somebody says something negative, make a joke. I have family members that used to make jokes all the time. I said, don't do that around me. Tell that to somebody else.
Right,
Well,
right,
you're not black. I said, well, of course, no, I'm not, but I don't want to hear it. Don't do
right.
that in my presence, or else I will not be coming around here.
Well,
And
that is one way of, taking the reins in rather than keeping your mouth shut, which I had done with friends and family for some years.
you come from Texas,
I
it's a different mindset. I was at a brunch at a family's house, and one of my, I don't want to say this, in one of my family members, a cousin, said was talking about, oh, it's just terrible, was talking about, um, it just upsets me so much, was talking about a nursery school that this person had worked at, and how all the black people were on welfare and drove Mercedes Benz. And I went, and I took a beat. I thought, okay, how am I going to respond to this?
Yeah,
I
you have
can
to take a breath before you respond to those people.
exactly and think. And I said, what would be the odds that everybody who was black drove a Mercedes Benz? How does that happen? And then they all looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, how do you know this? She said, about that they're all on welfare. Oh, we know. And why is that? How would you know? And
I'm
why
sorry
would
to laugh. It's terribly depressing, but yeah.
it is, but sometimes that's all you can do. And that ruined our relationship, because I spent 6 months thinking about whether I'm going to contact them. And then again, when Trump was running for president, all this thing happened, and it ruined our relationship in a lot of ways. And it's sad
Yes.
because,
Many,
they've tried so much. And then her husband, I'd been talking to his sister and I said, well, is he racist? And he says racist things. Does that make someone racist? I guess so. I don't know what the meaning of that word has changed. When I was a kid,
I would say so.
Racist meant you would hang somebody or you would kill somebody or somebody would, it would be more extreme. But now it's the prodding and the poking and, you know, and over and over and over again, just as a gay man, as I was saying with the Ava DuVernay film, is that the idea that our whole lives as gay people, when I met you, when we started the committee together, you were a lot more careful about being out. And I remember when we were in New York, and I hope I'm not, you know, there's been incredible growth in the 20 years that you and I worked together, that you felt really uncomfortable about, you know, mixing your acting and your
Part of that was because we're in show business, and I had lost roles when casting directors, you know, you and I could go, that's a whole other video, my friend.
I'm saying it's the same thing that happened to me. To you,
it's the same thing.
It didn't manifest in the same way, but for me, it's that I thought less of myself, and I cast myself, CASTE, cast myself in this box of where I was to live. When I came out on television in the 90s, I put myself in this box as the gay actor, as the gay comedian, and then as things became easier to live out of it, to see that I have opportunities now, to see that I am not being judged. Every time I do a part, I always think, am I showing that I'm gay if I'm playing a straight person? Does that, you know, where straight people don't think, oh, am I, you know, they don't think.
Is well, that's a whole other conversation.
But it's the same thing in life, though. It's that we cast ourselves in life, whether you're a gas station attendant or whether you're the CEO of a company. You cast yourself in a light with whether you deserve or you should be able to,
or you're allowed to judge another human being because you are the CEO of the company,
or you're allowed to think bigger,
right? Or think racist.
Exactly, and it's all about you know, generational wealth and how a lot of people feel like they should be, what's the word, given money. Oh God, this is what happens when you get to a certain age. You know, if you're allowed,
well, we're both 30. Hello.
Reimbursements for you know, what has happened in your life. You look at some of these incredibly white Christian patrician families whose names are on colleges, buildings, and who have been doctors and lawyers and been able to own things and to give each child, you know, a step up. People say, why can't these people pull them up by their bootstraps? Well, number one, some of them never got a bootstrap, and some of them don't even know what a bootstrap is.
And some of them got a very hefty bootstrap and fettered it away. And his name is, well, his last name's Trump. Let's just leave it at that.
Exactly. He's a perfect example.
He's an amazing example. And P.S., his father, Fred Trump, was one of the biggest racists in probably New York or Queens, New York history. So,
right.
And that being said,
New York, you know, right now, I think feeling a lot of guilt of letting this guy come into prominence. And so are people in show business.
I think a lot of people are. And I think one of the things that Rich and I talked about was the fact that Homo sapiens have a very difficult time admitting that they were wrong about something. And I think that's a huge wrong. And it's, you know, you're off in one direction. And do you go back? It's not like, as my friend Kate Newland said, it's not like the very personal, I woke up at 3 a.m. and ate a whole sleeve of Oreos. That's a personal dilemma. This is a more public dilemma when you have to come out and say, you know, I supported this man in 2 elections. I have worn a MAGA hat. And now that I've learned more, I'm wrong.
Well, that's Maya Angelou.
That's
if you know better, you do better.
Well, that's as Maya Angelou also said, you know, when they show you who they are,
when people show you who they are, believe them
the first time, such as your friends earlier who you were speaking of, who say, you know,
it's so
I'm
hard.
not racist. I just,
right,
you know,
that's what cast as an Ava DuVernay film is that these people in my family feel this. They feel that they are entitled to have these opinions about other people. When I was doing press for Birth of a Nation and I was on the red carpet, people kept asking me, how do you feel? How do you feel about this? And I said, you know what I do? I take off my shoes. I put on the shoes of my Black brothers and sisters and I shut up and I listen. Sometimes it's good to just listen. And as people who are watching this saying, God, this guy's a big liberal Jewish gay guy and he has all these opinions and he's you know, very passionate and what does he know? You know, he's in show business. He grew up in Los Angeles. What does he know? I know that I lead my life this way. And I know that I stand up, and I know a lot of my friends, people that not friends, but friendly, have worked non-union, and because they wanted to survive. And I didn't. And I made a lot less money in the last couple of years than I made, but I figured it out.
Well, you and I are proud, strong union supporters.
Very staunch about it.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So,
I think if you don't do that,
no, absolutely.
and I felt sort of, like, God, they were doing this to me and my friend and the people who work, all these people that work tirelessly for this. So what I'm saying is that when you asked me in the beginning, what do we do? Is you stand up. You figure it out.
Okay.
When we were on strike, what did I do? I did more stand-up. I tried to sell my book more, my autobiography. I tried to sell my comedy CDs. I put a new comedy CD out. I worked on my craft every day. Doing something. I did readings. I did one with you. You wrote a play.
You did my play Breakfast with Gandhi, and boy, did you knock that out of the park.
And we worked on it together. We talked about ideas. We'll
do that again. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
hey, I don't know if I told you this. It's being published by Next Stage Press. Breakfast with Gandhi.
See, that's what she did. That's
in the links below.
Yeah, but that's what she did while she was
right. What I'd like to do further in another video is brainstorm more on, now we know the groundwork. I'd like to know how we
don't pass this by so quickly. It's really important for people to hear the nuts and bolts of what two actors here, and being an actor is my passion. There's nothing more that I take my work very seriously. Don't take myself seriously, but I take my work seriously. So people say, how could you, why didn't you do non-union? And I was offered 4 different non-union projects in the last 5 years. One was by a very prominent action star, and it was a supporting role and it was a lot of money. And he was willing to give it to me. And I said, no. Other people who are in the gay community who are doing small projects.
Well, I suppose there are all sorts of divides, including union, non-union, racism, non-racism, Trumpism, and hopefully the majority of this country on the other side of it. But I'm all ears, and I think we have some more work to do. And I'd love to do this again with you so that maybe we can come up with some real fence menders.
Well, we're doing it right now.
I agree.
You're going to put this on the net. Somebody's going to hear something you or I say, either like it or not like it.
I totally agree.
And they're going to go, oh, I never thought of it that way. I never thought of the idea that, somebody maybe didn't have the opportunities that I had.
Well, I hope you're right about that. And I hope those people, and not just the choir that you and I preach to, are the ones that watch these videos and others like it.
Well, it's the people that are on the fence. I read somewhere else, we were all sitting in a restaurant, we were talking about this, and they said, how many independents? Oh, the independents are the most amount of people in this country now.
That's right.
And I went, wow.
It's going to be a very interesting political year with this election. Very interesting indeed.
There's still 8 more months to go, and they still keep doing all these surveys. And honestly, the surveys are 50-50 most of the time. And people keep saying how old this is my joke on Joe Biden. They say he's old, he's this or that. Yeah, but he is actually one of the greatest delegators. Delegators. And if you were a president, you have to be a great delegator. Right. Is he a little slow on the uptake? Yes. But
have you seen videos of Trump lately?
He's done a great job. The only
slow on the uptake is benign compared to the stuff that I have seen.
He's done a great job. I just don't want him to drive. No driving. But
he doesn't. He rides a bike very well, my friend. But he won't.
I know. No.
Will you come on again with me again sometime?
Yeah. Trump's only 3 years younger than him, and he.
I know. That's all. Listen, that's another way that this is all. It's media hype. It's all kinds of stuff. Listen, I watched something that Luke Beasley, who I love watching, he's a young man who goes out to Trump rallies and actually interviews people. And he was speaking with one of many. I mean, sometimes I can't watch.
There's a couple of those guys.
Sometimes I can't watch it. Right. I can't watch the entire video because it makes me crazy thinking how stupid some people are.
Like,
This
somebody say,
one,
why are you doing this? And they'll ask you,
this,
what was the reason? And 9 out of 10 times, they don't know why they're doing what they're
no,
doing.
9 out of 10 times they're totally stumped. But this one woman was very adamant about the fact that Joe Biden is not indeed president. In fact, and so Luke Beasley was asking, really has that. Did you see his speech the other night? Yes, I did. And the presidential seal that's on his podium is not real. It's photoshopped. He is not even living in the White House. I kid you
I
not.
said somebody say that he was dead, that they had a funeral for him.
That's what AI does. Don't get me started on that. But these are and this is my discussion with Luke Beasley, with Rich Loges, who was a MAGA person. These are the kinds of people who make my hair stand on end. But I need to learn how to rein it in and do what you said earlier. Listen first, and then figure out, and you know what, Jason? There are some people that will never be able to discuss things with.
No,
It's not going to happen. But as you said earlier, there are those out there who might be on the fence.
Oh, I think there's a lot.
Right.
If they really understood and were given the information, most Americans, and I say this as we're closing, most Americans are people that care, people that want to understand. They just don't know how. What is it? Oh my God.
That's okay. You're auditioning for
reparations.
Reparations. Thank you.
Yes, and I
have a big audition coming up, so I know about the Coen Brothers film. I won't say anything.
Yeah, don't say anything. The reparations for people believe in them. And I feel like I used to have fantasies when I was a kid that I would go to court, and all the kids that beat me up and teased me and told me, and all the people that told me that I couldn't do this because I was gay. I always used to think I want to take them to court and fine them for all the things that they did and all the time that they wasted and all the I used to think about that, and that's reparations.
Reparations, yeah.
And I believe in them because I think families have completely fallen apart because not having the funds to be able to get education and all sorts of
opportunity, funds, racism, all kinds of things.
Yes.
So we're going to work on solving this, my friend. And
we're doing it right now.
You know that I love and adore you and appreciate you so much. And my co-host Leslie, who's not here today because she's off cooking, as I said earlier. She likes to end our videos with a short little recipe because she believes that food can help to bring us together.
It brings together, yes, it does.
So I like to ask my guests, including you, my friend, do you have a quickie recipe of something fun?
This is the most important thing. When you are making a sandwich,
not
at all, fudge on the bread. The bread is the most important thing.
Agreed.
The kind of bread you eat, no matter what you want in the sandwich, the bread is terrific. And also have something green in the sandwich, whether it could be a cucumbers, it could be green pepper. It doesn't have to always be lettuce, which people don't like all the time because sometimes it's not doesn't taste very good anymore. So that's what I also do. And also you can put avocado on almost anything and it tastes better with any.
I love it. Yeah. When my son was younger, he's now 18. He used to say,
really? Oh my God.
I know. I'll send you a picture. He used to say that my sandwich
was 18.
Yeah, he's 18. We've known each other since before that. He used to say that in my sandwiches there was a taste in every bite. You're right, the bread is very important on sandwiches, but if you're going to use the mayonnaise, spread it all the way to the end.
And on both sides.
Jason.
Yes. How many times do you have to say that when you're getting a sandwich in a deli? Both sides.
Who wouldn't know that? Really?
Hello?
You know what? I love and adore you. I'm so happy that we got to do this, and we'll be doing it.
We got through this without talking over each other, and we really listened to each other. Yeah, it's better than
we're getting. We're getting better and better at that as our relationship has grown exponentially over the 2 decades. So I'm very proud of you and
everybody. I don't know when this is going to be on, but watch the SAG Awards tonight.
Well, it's not going to be on tonight, but if it is tonight, watch the SAG Awards tonight. Yay!
No, but this is the night that we taped it, but it'll be on another time. And you can watch it on Netflix probably afterwards also, so you don't have to watch it on the exact day. That's what's so great about TV now is if you miss something.
Oh, and you must go to Smothered TV where Jason and his award-winning series is on. It is absolutely binge-worthy. It is absolutely binge-worthy. I love it, love it, love it. And I love
It's about
you.
these two guys who have been in a relationship for 30 years who hate each other but can't afford to get divorced. You go to smotheredtv.com and you press watch Smothered, and there's different places. You can watch it on Amazon, YouTube, Apple TV, Reverie, all sorts of places.
Well, that's what I'm going to do tonight.